Well, winds last night got up to nearly 40 miles an hour. Not too much damage around the plot. Just a bit of perspex that flew into the side of the polytunnel. It made the tiniest of holes. Thankfully, this polythene is really tough. So I'll probably end up putting just a small bit of the adhesive tape that goes over any damage to the polytunnel. Just prolongs its life a bit. Well, it's still very windy out there and cold. So I thought I'd come into the polytunnel, and some of the seedlings that I've got are needing to be potted now. And this one, Milan white early turnip, doing really well. Need to get that moved on. We've got a lot of lettuce, and I notice it's got a bit dry in here as well. They're still fine, but timing is important. So there's 3 varieties of lettuce there that I need to prick out and pot on. My tomatoes, I only sowed 6 of each because I was wanting to be cautious, but 6 of each have germinated. So I will pot those on today, just get them into their own individual cell. And then my lobelia sapphire trailing, which did extremely well. I'm going to just break that up into cubes really and make it more accessible for growing on and potting out later. So I'm going to divide that one up. So those 4 will keep me happy for an hour or 2, I think. Well, I'm sort of glad I'm in here rather than out there. This is certainly the time of the year to have somewhere indoors or under cover to do these sort of jobs. Good time. Fleeced back over for tonight. Sounds like the temperatures are going to be, well, fairly cold. So better be safe than sorry. And my afternoons pricking out now down on the lower level, and hopefully everything will come along nicely, and I'll cover those with fleece tonight as well. And my bench, whilst cluttered, is actually still clear. So plenty of room for all of the seedlings that I know are going to come out of there. Well, after a few blustery days, we can start back on the allotment again, which is good news. And see, Mr. and Mrs. Mole have been active again, this time around the coop. Certainly very active moles. There's got to be more than one now, because we've started to get activity at the top gate as well as down here at the same time. Well, today I'm going to tackle this little problem. So this bitumen formed roofing material has been really good, but because I let it hang out, it started gradually to bend over the top of the coop, and right up here I bang the head on it frequently. So I've got to come up with a solution, and I've been thinking about the best thing to do, and I think on balance I just need to cut it reasonably close to the edge of the coop. But I've been working out how to do that in a straight manner, and I think I've got a plan. So I'm going to saw, I think, a straight edge. I think this material is probably best cut with a saw. And to get a straight edge, I found this bit of old ply. It's an offcut that was in the rafters in the garage. And I think if I clamp it onto the roof nice and tight, I can cut along the straight edge. At least that's the plan. I think I might start up this end. It's not going to plan. So my problem is getting this clamp in here to clamp down the other end of this stretcher. I think what I'm going to have to do is cut into the roof and then take this bracket inside and clamp it down. I think that's as good as it's going to get. So I'm going to tighten down and cut. Well, I'm pleased to say that seemed to go pretty well. Proof will be how straight it is when I look across it, but it looks okay. Yeah. That'll do nicely. I think there's a few more years in this yet, although it did seem to be brittle on the edges, but I think that's just because it was bending badly. So there we go. Well, I've done this rhubarb forcing for the first time, so it's been very interesting. I've got a feeling, based on the fact that there's a couple of leaves pushing out, that this is probably needing to be raised, at least a higher dome put on here. Let's lift it and have a look. Wow, it's doing well. They certainly look extremely pink, which is fantastic because that means they're sweet. And sure enough, there's one that's broken off here. But I think I'm going to continue with this. I just need to get a bigger dome, and I've got an idea for that. So this rotating composter, it did okay for a while, but it's very old and it started to break down. I think the center column is rusty and it really was past its best. But I think this dome surface, although it's quite tall, would be ideal for going over the top of that rhubarb for a while. I might have to put a weight on the top. Ideally it should be a bit shorter, but I don't want to cut it until I know exactly what I'm going to use it for. In the meantime, if I can just get this apart, I can probably use that in the interim. So I carry all sorts of tools in my little bag. Have I got pliers? Nah. Have I got a spanner? Nah. Got some snips. Let's try these. Yes. There she blows. Now, there's a few bits and bobs that I'll keep off of this. Any washers, these plastic washers might come in handy. So I'll take those off, and hopefully then this central pipe will just knock out the middle. There should be some more of those washers on the other side. There we go. We'll put those away safe. See if we can get this out. Right, sledgehammer to crack a nut? I think so. I'm in a hurry because just behind me is the rag and bone man, and he'll take away all this old rusty metal. He's still there. Yes. I'll see you in a bit. Well, I often say it's funny how things work out. Who'd have thought a metal collector would come along just as I wanted to get rid of some metal? So, that's the plan. Let's see if it works. Well, it's about the right width, so let's try it. I think that'll be fine. It's on a bit of a lean. I'm gonna have to find a way of securing it. I think probably if I use this handle, I can peg it down with a bit of string as well and put some weight on top. I don't know what these holes are gonna do. I guess if anything, the leaves will reach for the light, so that'll probably be a good thing. We'll see. So if I anchor it down this side, I think that's going to be pretty stable. I could do it the other way as well, but we'll see. Let's get this one in the ground. Now I'm going to puncture this membrane, but it's like a weave. It does repair itself after you take out a spike. So that's a bit of a crooked end. That's more of a point. So I'm going to knock that in there. Fairly deep, and then anchor this down. Now this is where your schoolboy knots come in. Unfortunately, I didn't pay much attention in that class. Somebody will tell me in the comments that I needed to do a half hitch or something like that, and I still won't know what they're talking about. Right, let's get a bit of an angle on that. Wrap it round a few times. Now, whilst I was down there tying that off, I noticed that this peg is just coming out the ground a bit. So I think I've got to go round and push all these pegs in with my feet. If any of you are wondering how durable it's been to put this down on the ground, I've been incredibly impressed. These pegs seem to hold it down well. I've got a few staples in there as well. And I think I can see just one coming out there. And these are just starting to lift. But I haven't touched them all year. And there's been some incredibly strong winds. So I'd recommend it if you're having to cover an area and pin it down. This seems to work. Right, let's get those pegs in. Well, the polytunnel's pretty low maintenance this time of year. It's been cold for the last few days, and it's going to be very cold in a few days' time. But you only need a little bit of warmer weather, and the warmth in here really rises. If I look at the temperature in here now, it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 24 degrees in the seed beds under the cloches, and I think it's time just to make sure that everything is not too dry. I'll show you what I mean. So the strawberries have been faring really well. I see we've got a little sycamore seedling there, which we'll take out. But you can see here's some compost which I've left in here, and to the touch the surface is dry as a bone, and you can see that it's dry on the tops of some of these baskets. So I think the strawberries need a bit of a water. These smaller ones seem to stay a bit damper at the moment, probably because they're further in, but definitely needing watering there. It's good to see my mint coming through. This is apple mint, and it looked really dead, but of course it shoots up really well once it starts to get a bit warmer. So let's have a look at the others. Underneath this one we've got the lettuce that I've just recently pricked out, and of course I watered that when it went in and it's fine. These leeks I've not watered so frequently. You can see the pot has a gap between that and the soil, and that's a bit of a sign to look out. And I think we'll give just those leeks a little bit of a water. And we've got some shallots there, which the surface is just starting to get dry, and it's same in the back. And then these are the strawberries that really got smacked by the frost, and I had to change my plans as to what strawberries I was going to use. But you can see many of them have come back really well, and even these that look really dead have got green shoots on them. They will, I think, probably all come back eventually, but again, really dry on the surface, so need a watering there. And this is the boxed mixed salad, which is started to sprout nicely, and my main leek box, which has got no growth whatsoever and again is looking dry. And these are the sweet peas which I put in from last year's saved seed, and I'm pleased to say they're all shooting up nicely, and again they look a bit dry on the surface, so I'll give them a bit of a water. And it's the same story under here. I think a little sprinkling will help all the seedlings right now. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.